At her request, we passed a motion to give you 24 hours to reconsider. Before you get your letter from Daystar.
For years, Jonathan Lamb has remained silent, standing in the shadow of his family's legacy, never speaking out. Until now. The truth he just revealed about Joni Lamb has sent shockwaves through their devoted following, leaving many questioning everything they once believed. Secrets buried for years have finally come to light, exposing a side of Joni that few ever imagined. But why now? What pushed Jonathan to break his silence after all this time? And what exactly has he uncovered that has people reeling in disbelief? The answers might not be what you expect, and they might change everything. Stay with us as we dive into the startling revelation that has everyone talking.
Yeah, I'm not going to be on without my wife.
Call the meeting, so.
My wife and I will never be divided.
So your wife's definitely running the show, that's for sure.
Well, so I think...
No, she's not. I'm the head of the household.
She is.
No, she's not.
She is. And everyone knows.
Well,
That's not true.
Everyone knows it.
That's not true.
Well,
Mom, how dare you say that? I'm the head of my household. Me and Susie...
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
New shocking rumors about Joni Lamb's hidden lifestyle. For years, Joni Lamb has stood as one of the most recognizable faces in Christian broadcasting, a woman whose presence on Daystar television brought faith, inspiration, and guidance to millions. To the outside world, she represented unwavering devotion, an advocate for righteousness, family values, and spiritual integrity. But behind the perfect image, behind the well-rehearsed sermons and polished television appearances, whispers of a very different reality have begun to emerge. Whispers that suggest a hidden side to Joni Lamb, one that contradicts everything she preached. The first signs of trouble were subtle, strange inconsistencies that didn't quite fit with her public persona. At first, they seemed like harmless rumors, easily dismissed as the usual gossip that follows any influential figure. But as time went on, the whispers grew louder, more detailed, and harder to ignore. Former associates, industry insiders, and even those once close to her began speaking about a private world that few were ever allowed to see, one that didn't align with the moral purity she projected on screen.
They do the semi-annual telethon there. I think they call it Heart for the World now. There's a room there just full of phones and cubicles and several hundred people in there that just answer phones all day. And the prayer department was in charge of taking the calls during the telethon when people would call in to donate. But every once in a while, the call volume would be so high that all company employees would be required to be on standby on their phone.
According to sources who claim to have witnessed it firsthand, Joni's personal life was far more complex and indulgent than she led people to believe. There were reports of secret meetings, of private gatherings where the rules seemed different from the strict values she upheld in public. Some even suggested that Joni Lamb maintained relationships that would shock her most devoted followers, relationships that directly contradicted the image she worked so hard to maintain. One of the most persistent rumors revolves around the idea that Joni's influence extended far beyond the Daystar studios, reaching into spaces that many would never associate with a woman of faith. Some claim that behind closed doors, she enjoyed a level of freedom and control that few in the religious broadcasting world ever suspected. There are stories of her using her power to silence those who questioned her, of individuals who tried to speak out but found themselves suddenly cut off from the Christian media industry. Even more disturbing are the claims that certain people in Joni's inner circle knew the truth all along but were too afraid to speak. The fear of retaliation, of losing everything they had worked for, kept them silent for years. Some reportedly signed agreements to protect her secrets, while others simply chose to walk away rather than expose what they had seen.
And so this was one of those particular occasions. The call volume was exceptionally high. And lo and behold, my phone rang. I answer it, and it's this sweet little elderly lady. And she's weeping, and she's telling me that she's completely in debt. She has nothing, no money. But she does have a last little bit on her credit card, and she's going to give that to Daystar because the person on air said that if you give $1,000 today, God is going to give you $10,000 back. I don't really have words to say how horrible I felt in that moment, that I took that card number and I ran that card, because it just felt very, very wrong. And that was really the first time that I stopped and said, do I want to be a part of this? Is this the kingdom of God? Because I don't know how you can justify that before God. I just don't. there were people there like that, that spoke that way, that taught that way, that really perpetuated this idea of the prosperity gospel. You know, God's going to give you back what you give tenfold. There were just so many beautiful, innocent people who bought that hook, line, and sinker, and in desperation would call in.
There were also questions about her financial decisions, with some sources suggesting that certain assets and funds were managed in ways that did not align with the Christian values she preached. The whispers pointed to extravagant spending, luxury purchases, and hidden transactions, all of which stood in stark contrast to the humble, faith-driven image she presented to the world. One of the most shocking claims came from someone who once worked closely with Joni at Daystar. According to this insider, there were times when she seemed to live two completely separate lives, one that was devoted to faith and ministry, and another that operated under a different set of rules, a world where personal desires took precedence over moral standards. They described moments where Joni's behavior behind the scenes was almost unrecognizable compared to the woman who preached on television. Moments that made them question whether her faith was truly as strong as she made it seem. The rumors only grew stronger after her husband Marcus Lamb passed away. Some speculated that without him as the face of the ministry, Joni's control over Daystar became more absolute, allowing her to shape the network entirely in her own vision. There were whispers that the people who had once held her accountable were no longer in positions of power, that she had surrounded herself with individuals who would never challenge her authority. And then, there were the allegations about personal relationships. Some claimed that Joni's private life involved encounters and interactions that would leave her followers in absolute shock. It wasn't just about power or influence, it was about hidden desires, secret meetings, and a double life that few ever saw up close. There were even whispers that certain individuals had been personally invited into her private world, only to later regret what they had seen. As the rumors continued to spread, the biggest question became, how much of this was true? Was Joni Lamb really living a secret life, or was this just another attempt to bring down a powerful figure in Christian media? The problem was, the more people investigated, the harder it became to dismiss the claims as baseless gossip. Too many sources, too many unexplained details, and too many whispers that seemed to connect back to the same story. What made it all even more shocking was the fact that Joni had spent her career speaking out against the very behaviors she was now being accused of. She had preached about purity, about the dangers of temptation, about the importance of living a life that honored God. If the rumors were true, it meant that everything her followers believed about her was a lie. The scandal has now reached a boiling point, with many demanding answers. Some of her most loyal supporters refuse to believe a word of it, convinced that this is nothing more than an attack on a strong woman of faith. Others, however, are beginning to question everything. How could someone who spoke so passionately about Christian values be involved in such allegations? How could someone who claimed to be a guiding light for millions be hiding so much in the shadows? As more details come to light, one thing is certain: this story is far from over. If the rumors are true, Joni Lamb's legacy may never recover. If they are false, then the question remains: why have so many people come forward with the same stories? The world is watching, waiting for the truth to be revealed. And whatever that truth may be, it is bound to change everything.
You know, they did show me some stuff, text messages, emails, and some other paperwork that I said, okay, you know, now I'm going to have to go back and talk to Jonathan and Susie, and I'm going to do that this morning to hear their side. But what I will not do, I'm not going to keep going back and forth. I saw what they showed me. I heard both sides of the story. You know, I felt some things in the spirit when I was talking to Jonathan and Susie. I definitely felt some things, you know, when I went to Daystar. And I'm going to post this interview today. I'm going to let everybody chop it up, dissect it, criticize, say, hey, I'm going to post the interview because that's the fair thing, the right thing. People can feel whatever they want to feel about it. And then I'm going to make a third and final video where I share, you know, what they showed me, there's some stuff they showed me and it was like, I have to go talk to Jonathan and Susie, and then I'm going to get Jonathan and Susie's response to, you know, the things that they showed me, and I already started talking to them about it, and I'm going to make the final video, and I'm going to wash my hands of it.
Scandals and ongoing rumors. For years, Joni Lamb has been one of the most influential figures in Christian broadcasting. Her work with Daystar Television made her a household name among believers, a trusted voice in the world of faith-based media. To millions, she represented everything that a strong Christian woman should be, devoted to her faith, her family, and her ministry. But behind the perfect image, whispers of scandal have followed her for years. Some dismiss them as nothing more than attacks on a powerful woman in the Christian world. Others, however, have long suspected that there was more to Joni Lamb's life than what the cameras showed. The rumors first started as small, unconfirmed whispers, but as time went on, they grew louder. Some claimed that Joni was far more controlling behind the scenes than people realized, that her grip on Daystar was absolute, and that anyone who dared to question her decisions was quickly removed. Former employees have quietly suggested that working for Joni wasn't the spiritual experience many had expected. Instead of an environment built on faith and kindness, there were stories of strict rules, behind-the-scenes conflicts, and a growing sense of secrecy within the ministry. One of the most persistent rumors revolved around Joni's personal relationships. As a woman who preached about morality, purity, and family values, any suggestion of scandal in her personal life would be devastating. Yet, whispers began to circulate that Joni's private life was not as picture-perfect as she wanted people to believe. Some claimed that she had formed deep connections with individuals outside of her marriage, leading to speculation about whether she had been living a secret life away from the spotlight. While no hard evidence ever surfaced, the rumors refused to die. Things took a darker turn when her husband Marcus Lamb passed away. In the wake of his death, Joni stepped up as the sole leader of Daystar, taking full control of the empire they had built together. Some saw this as a natural transition, the continuation of their shared vision. Others, however, began to question just how much control Joni wanted. Had Marcus been the only thing keeping certain secrets hidden? If they told things, Joni was the only thing keeping certain secrets hidden. Had his death allowed Joni to finally shape Daystar in her own image, free from the accountability that came with being a co-leader? Then came the financial questions. Some former insiders began speaking out about the way money moved behind the scenes at Daystar. While Daystar, like many religious organizations, claimed to be focused on ministry, there were allegations that certain funds were being used for reasons that had nothing to do with faith. Some pointed to lavish spending, suggesting that money meant for charitable work was instead being used to support a life of extreme luxury. Others claimed that Joni had full control over the network's finances, making key financial decisions without any transparency. The lack of oversight raised serious concerns. Was Daystar truly operating as a ministry, or was it being used as a personal financial empire? Some former employees suggested that anyone who asked too many questions quickly found themselves pushed out, reinforcing the idea that Joni did not tolerate challenges to her authority. But perhaps the most shocking scandal was the one that insiders claimed Joni feared the most: the growing rumors about her personal lifestyle. Over time, multiple sources began hinting at a side of Joni Lamb that the public never saw. The whispers suggested that she enjoyed a level of personal freedom that directly contradicted the values she preached. Some even claimed that Joni had private relationships that, if ever revealed, would destroy her reputation completely. There were whispers of secret meetings, hidden encounters, and private interactions that many found difficult to believe at first. But as more and more people from Joni's past spoke out, the rumors became harder to ignore. Had she been living a double life? Was her public devotion to Christian values simply a carefully crafted image, while her private reality was something else entirely? Some of the most damaging claims involve people who had once worked closely with Joni. According to certain insiders, there were moments when Joni let her guard down behind closed doors, revealing a personality that was far removed from the calm, controlled woman the world saw on television. These sources suggested that she was willing to go to great lengths to maintain her power, and that anyone who threatened to expose the truth found themselves suddenly cut off from the ministry. One of the most troubling aspects of the rumors was how little response there had been from Joni herself. Instead of addressing the growing speculation, she remained mostly silent, choosing to let the rumors build rather than confronting them head-on. Some saw this as a sign of strength, arguing that she didn't need to defend herself against false accusations, but others saw it differently. Was her silence proof that there was truth to the allegations? As the controversy surrounding her continued to grow, many of her longtime followers were left feeling conflicted. Some refused to believe any of the rumors, insisting that Joni was a target simply because she was a woman in a position of power. They argued that Christian leaders had always been under attack, and that this was just another attempt to bring down someone who had dedicated her life to faith. But others weren't so sure. They couldn't ignore the fact that the rumors kept coming, and that many of them came from people who had once been inside Daystar itself. If there was truly nothing to hide, why had so many people spoken out? And why did it seem like the ministry was doing everything possible to avoid addressing the allegations directly? As more voices joined the conversation, the scandals surrounding Joni Lamb only seemed to deepen. Some even began questioning whether her leadership of Daystar could survive the mounting controversy. While her most devoted followers stood by her, others were beginning to distance themselves, unsure of what to believe. The Christian community, too, found itself divided. Some pastors and church leaders defended Joni, saying that everyone faces trials and that she deserved grace. But others expressed deep concern, stating that if even a fraction of the rumors were true, it raised serious moral and ethical questions about her ability to lead a ministry. For now, the truth remains uncertain. Joni Lamb has yet to give a clear, direct response to the growing accusations, and Daystar continues to operate as if nothing has changed. But the damage has already been done. The questions, the doubts, and the scandals have left a mark that will not be easily erased. One thing is clear: the world is watching. The Christian broadcasting industry has seen its fair share of scandals over the years, but few have been as shocking or as deeply personal as the ones surrounding Joni Lamb. Whether she chooses to speak out or remain silent, the controversy will not simply fade away. The rumors, the whispers, and the speculation will continue to spread, leaving many wondering, what is the real truth about Joni Lamb, and how much longer can she keep it hidden? The weight of the rumors surrounding Joni Lamb has reached a level that no one could have anticipated. For years, she was seen as an unshakable pillar of faith, a woman who carried the torch of her late husband's ministry and continued to lead Daystar Television as one of the most influential Christian broadcasters in the world. But now, the once clear image of her perfect reputation has been clouded by whispers of scandal, secrecy, and deception. The biggest question on everyone's mind is simple: what happens now? The speculation, the rumors, and the allegations have all taken on a life of their own. Even those who once defended Joni without question can no longer ignore the growing uncertainty. It's not just about the accusations anymore, it's about how much silence surrounds them. The longer she refuses to directly address the controversy, the deeper the doubts become. Daystar itself now faces one of the greatest challenges in its history. The network, once seen as a beacon of Christian television, is under immense pressure. Sponsors, churches, and even longtime supporters of the ministry are questioning whether they can continue to stand behind a platform that refuses to answer the questions that won't go away. Some churches have quietly begun pulling Daystar's programming from their networks, hesitant to associate their congregations with an organization surrounded by so much uncertainty. Financially, there is concern that the ongoing controversy will begin to impact the ministry's revenue. While Daystar has a loyal following, the more conservative members of its audience have expressed deep disappointment in Joni's refusal to confront the allegations head-on. Some donors have already withdrawn their financial support, waiting to see if she will finally break her silence and offer an explanation that can put an end to the swirling speculation. But perhaps the most damaging aspect of this entire situation is the impact it has had on Joni's credibility. For decades, she stood in front of the camera, speaking to millions about truth, righteousness, and the importance of living a life devoted to faith. Now, those same followers are left wondering, was it all just a carefully crafted illusion? If even a fraction of the rumors are true, what does that say about the ministry she has led for so many years? And if none of it is true, why has she allowed the rumors to fester without offering a clear denial? As more former insiders come forward with their own accounts of what happened behind the scenes at Daystar, the situation only grows more complicated. Some have suggested that the network operated with far more secrecy than the public ever realized, and that Joni's personal control over the organization was far greater than most people suspected. Others claim that certain staff members knew what was going on, but were afraid to speak out, fearing that they would lose everything if they dared to question the official narrative. And then there is the question of trust. If Joni Lamb truly has nothing to hide, why has she remained silent for so long? Why has she chosen to let the controversy spiral out of control rather than addressing it directly? Many Christian leaders who have faced public scrutiny in the past have stood firm, defended their reputations, and refuted false claims with confidence. But Joni has done none of that. Instead, she has allowed the rumors to spread, creating even more confusion and distrust. Her most loyal followers continue to stand by her, believing that she is simply choosing to remain silent because she does not need to defend herself. They argue that the truth will always prevail and that Joni has done nothing wrong. But others see things differently. To them, her silence is not a sign of strength, it is a sign of avoidance. a refusal to answer the difficult questions that many believe she owes to the people who have supported her for so long. The Christian broadcasting world is watching closely. Joni Lamb is not just any television host. She is a woman who has built a massive religious empire, one that influences millions of lives. Her next move will determine the future of Daystar, and perhaps her own legacy.